Greetings, every Hammerfall fans out there. Today's the day. The 12th studio album from Hammerfall, Hammer of Dawn, is out now via Napalm Recrods. And I think to celebrate the release, you can check out my interview with Oscar Dronjak here on my YouTube channel. It's only half of the interview because the rest of the interview you can hear in the February edition of the Fire That Burns podcast. But you can check out the interview right now, half of it right here on YouTube. Go check it out. Happy release day. So yeah, Oscar, welcome here at the Fire That Burns podcast. Hammer of Dawn, your 12th studio album. How's the feeling in Hammerfall at the moment?
Well, regarding the album, I think the feeling is very optimistic. We're all really satisfied with how that went. It's been a slow year, of course, a slow 2 years, but we're ready to go now. I just hope that that things will die down in time for everything for the tour and everything for the summer, so we can, do some shows again.
Yeah,
that's basically the overall feel right now. Like everybody, everybody's waiting for things to get better, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, even for Hammerfall standard, the sound on this album is quite massive. I think it's really strong and powerful production you guys pulled out this time. I mean, you're always doing great productions, but I think particularly this one here is very massive and clear in the sound. On the vocal side, you have chosen to work with Jacob Hansen for the first time on this Hammerfall album. Why did you choose to work with him on the vocals?
Well, we wanted to. We needed to have basically because we couldn't do our normal thing. We couldn't leave or we rather couldn't enter the US. Otherwise, we would always record with James Michael. That's the way we've done it for a long time. And that's, we're both Joachim and I are creatures of habit in a lot of ways. And we'd like to, if nothing's wrong, why change it? That kind of thing, But since we couldn't go or we couldn't enter the US, which is where James Michael lives, the guy who's done the vocal producing for last 10 years for us. So, we worked with him for a long time. It was just we had to come up with something else. And since we've met Jacob before, we know people who have worked with him who gave him really good recommendations and everything. And of course, his resume speaks for itself. The bands he's worked with there and everything. Just wanted to have that. What kind of guy is he personally? Like, because a vocalist needs somebody that he feels comfortable when he's recording, when he's singing, because that's so much in the performance of everything. And so we were, I mean, because we didn't know Jacob, we were maybe a little bit like, okay, let's see how this works. But we went in there with an open mind and everything. But it turned out that, obviously we'd only met him really briefly before, but he seemed like a really nice guy. And the first impression was absolutely true. He was a super nice guy and very, very professional and very easy to work with. So Joachim and Jacob and I got along really well. I think the result of everything in that studio was amazing. It was really as good as we hoped for, but because we didn't know, we could only hope from before, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was it was a bit of an uncertain situation, but since everybody knows what they're doing and everybody's really professional and really good, it worked out tremendously. So Jacob was a fantastic choice for this album. What we needed from him was to get Joachim to perform or to have that symbiotic relationship where Joachim trusts what Jacob says.
Yeah.
And after like the initial getting to know each other process, I think they found a really good working relationship out of this. So we didn't really think like, oh, he's done this, he must be good for us. That was just a matter of what kind of a person is he, because what he's done is he works with all these big bands. We know that he knows what he's doing, that he's reliable in terms of the technical stuff and everything. It was just he needed to get the personal thing down because we didn't know him, and once that was done, really, really good.
Everything was good. Nice. Tell me about the writing process of this new album. I could imagine that this was done through the Corona period. Did you write together with Joachim, or how did you guys write this new album here?
It was basically the same as we have worked in for a lot of years now. But the difference between this album and most of the previous ones is I started, for Dominion, the previous album that we did, I started writing music on tour and on vacation, like while inspiration struck, instead of waiting for, like, now we have two or 3 months of songwriting, then let's do all the songs there. I kept the songwriting going, so I wrote several songs and stuff on tour, and well, when I was just outside of my studio, and I wrote several things in the studio as well. So it was a bit spread out. But the first song was completed in before Dominion even. It was Brotherhood was written on the U.S. tour that we did with Flotsam and Jetsam as a special guest. Yeah. In 2018. So that song was done already back then. I just felt that I didn't want so we were on the sort of the tail end of the Dominion songwriting process. So we had all the songs that we needed, basically. So this one, I was just writing songs because I had inspiration, you know. Great. And so, since this is that was our 11th album, this is now our 12th studio album. It's really difficult for me as a songwriter when I write music. I know that this one, like in the first 3 albums, we played almost all of the songs from the albums live all the time. You know, that's because we didn't have so many other songs. Yeah. Now we have so much else to choose from. Yeah. And that means that if you have a song that just, I didn't want to go to waste, basically. I felt that Brotherhood was a really strong song and that needed like a space. And there was no space, or very limited space, left on Dominion for this song. So I felt, okay, I'm going to save it for the next album, because then we can give it the attention that it deserves. And the good thing is, Joachim, when I sent the song to him, he agreed with me as well for this, because he said this is something we're going to do something with. So that's the opening track of the album now. And I'm glad I held it back, because that now it may have a longer life than it would have if it just was, you know, put on the tail end of the Dominion album, basically. Yeah. So to answer your question, I started writing songs a lot earlier this time. I've been doing songs all the time. I'd say about half, maybe not even. From my part, I'd say about half or something was written during the Corona period, and the rest was at least begun beforehand. On tour. For Joachim, of course, he wrote everything last year. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And so let's stay with your upcoming single, Brotherhood. It's a very, very powerful start, I think, for an album. And so for this new song, you will have people to send over pictures for the artwork I've written. Tell me more about this idea. How did that idea come across?
It actually was so we did the song, and everything was like recorded and done, and a guy from our management team suggested, he felt really strongly about this song, which I think we all did to a certain extent. I mean, everybody realized this was one of the stronger ones on the album. And like you said, it's the opening track, and that's why it is the opening track. Yeah. It packs a lot of punch in it, and I like it that way. I like to sort of start the album with something that, like a fast thing right out of the gate. I like that, you know. It makes for a very energetic beginning, basically. And so Darren, the management team guy, he said, I got an idea for this. And he lined up, I think this came about from this photo session that we did for the album, for the Hammer of Dawn album. He had this idea that he wanted to try with the hands clasped together. Yeah. And then he came up with the idea for you know, to have fans send in their pictures and put up as for the artwork for the album. And I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, if this would have happened when I was a teenager or a kid, I would have been ecstatic. If you could be on a, let's say, an Accept or a Judas Priest album this way, it would be, you know, astonished. Exactly. It would be fantastic. Yeah. So I like the idea very much, and it's gotten a really big response as well. So it seems like people are happy about this. They want to be a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it might also be the first time since Infected that you're not having drawn Hector on the album cover.
Yes, that's true. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, let's hope this one fares better than than that album cover did.
Well, I think it's a cool album cover.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, otherwise, if I didn't like it or approve of it, we wouldn't release it. But
No.
It seems like people were disappointed in not having the Hector on the album cover, which I guess in hindsight was probably something we should have anticipated at least, but nobody even thought about it. We just thought, oh, fuck, this is a cool album cover.
Yeah.
The hand and Infected, the title and everything. It sort of tied into that. But yeah, I guess this we'll see how this one fares, but hopefully people will be more receptive if they're part of it somehow, of the artwork.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. On the track "Venerate Me," you have special guest in King Diamond, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, how did that work out? I mean, it's quite a legacy to have.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me this like even 5 years ago, or even when I, in the 80s when I was young, I would have laughed you out of the building. I would say, no way, this is not going to happen ever. It was just unthinkable. But so what happened was, I wrote this song. This song I wrote in the studio here during the summer of 2020, I think. I'm pretty sure, like summer or fall of 2020. And when I wrote the song, I had this kind of like, when I wrote this part of the song, I should say, I felt like, oh yeah, this is how King Diamond or Merciful Fate would have done it with this, the stop and the choir singing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think more of it. I mean, like, it was just like, oh, this is a cool idea. I'm going to use this because that's what my favorite bands would have done, basically.
Yeah.
And so when we recorded the song in the studio, there was just Pontus and Fredrik and me in there. And when we came to this part, I recorded the guitars, and I said, imagine if King Diamond would sing this. How cool would that be? Like 90% joking, not even 10% serious. But Pontus is also a sound engineer. So he's done the live shows for King Diamond for, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years or something. A long time anyway. So he knows him fairly well. So when I said that it would be cool if King Diamond did this, Pontus said, "Yeah, I could ask him. I'm sure he'll do it. If he doesn't have anything any other plans." And it was in the middle of the pandemic, so I guess that probably couldn't hurt to ask at least. And I was like, "Are you serious? Are you crazy? You're gonna okay?" So he called him later that night, and King was saying, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it. That sounds like fun." I couldn't believe my ears. But what is this? Is King Diamond actually going to be on a Hammerfall album? But you know how it is. This was also in June. No, it was in April or May, probably April, I guess. We weren't going to finish everything with the album until the end of September. So there were a lot of months. We started really early with this due to that was part of or one reason that this album sounds the way it does is because of the pandemic. Because we started early and we had time to finish everything. We didn't have any stress at all. We had months to lay out all the details if we wanted to. So that was a really good thing. But
and I also actually think you can hear that on the album. It's very, very massive in this production.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you hear it, because that's absolutely a product of just the stresslessness that we had in the studio. Just time to figure everything out, basically. But you know how it is when you when somebody says, yes, of course I will do that, unless you have the actual files in your hand or you can listen to it and stuff. I'm normally an optimist, but in things like this, I'd rather not get disappointed, So I didn't have high hopes for things to actually come to fruition in the end, because I know what it is. People always say, yeah, of course I will, and then nothing happens. So I didn't think King Diamond would do that, but I don't know him in that way, so I never have dealt with him really at all in these kinds of situations. So I didn't know. I didn't want to set myself up for something to be disappointed, basically. No. So I said I didn't think of anything. Like I didn't count on it until it was almost close. Until we almost over everything. Yeah. And then finally, Pontus and I talked to King a lot of times beforehand because he had some concerns about the sound and how because his trademark is the voice. You know,
Exactly.
it's so specific, so special, and so fantastic. If you like it, I mean, there's with his voices. If you like it, you love it. You can't, you know, it's something that you absolutely love. Usually, I don't think I've heard anybody say, "Meh, it's all right." You know, it's you usually have a strong feeling about it.
Yeah.
And it's I love it. So just wanted to try to get to understand how he wanted it to sound like, because that's, like I said, the voice is his trademark, and it was very particular in how it came across. It was down to the effects that we used on it, because he wanted this to sound representative for him. That was 100% important for him, and I can totally understand that. Of course, I understand that. It was never a question of anything other than, yeah, let's do it. We want to make him happy, so we can actually have King Diamond on the album. And for us, the difference is with what he heard and what we heard. We didn't hear exactly what he heard. He heard, oh, let's do this and maybe tweak that. I think we should do this here. And for us, it was, yeah, fine, whatever you want to do. I mean, for us, it doesn't matter. As long as you're on the album, we just want to make you happy. That was our attitude towards it. And so finally, we found a sort of when he tried to explain to me what he wanted or what he didn't want, we made a couple of different versions for him. You know, like a little louder, less with this, more of that, whatever. And he chose one and then said, tweak this a little bit. And then finally we were done. And that was the last thing that actually happened before. I mean, all the other songs were mixed and ready, and this was the last thing we did. So I can't believe that I actually have King Diamond on the Hammerfall album. I'm so grateful for him to taking the time to do this.